what concerns me today. What concerns me today is the fact that more and more nuclear power plants seem to be coming under attack. So you talk about a dirty bomb. When you've got a conventional nuclear power plant, and we're not even talking Fukushima now, we're talking the ones that are still intact worldwide, coming under attack by whatever form of military ordnance that can blow stuff up, you're dealing with some very potentially dangerous targets. Number one, the idea is simply this. Know everything you can know about the subject matter, because even if you don't have money, your valuable knowledge, this is how some of you can become, if you will, your best asset, by knowing what's going on. I'll make a point. You've got a bunch of people standing around. You've just heard. You go out and you've just heard, and people are coming out of their houses. They're looking for someone to tell them what's on. Everybody looks, the neighborhood's dark or there's no power in the neighborhood. People start to come out, one or two, to see if anybody might have that most important asset during a time like this information. Because again, ladies and gentlemen, even basic weather understanding, telling you the things like what are your average winds in the month of March in Bozeman, Montana, or wherever you live, and typically where do they come out of, the north, out of the west. But you having the information, when you start to know what you're talking about, their number one priority will be to keep you alive. Same thing for doctors and nurses and people in the medical field, emergency techs. Anybody that knows how to take care of people that are hurting, wounded, or dying. So in this QCast, I'm trying to get you to see one thing. The events that used to be relegated to the future during the 60s are no longer the future in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Now we're living with one of the greatest, and I believe this, not natural disaster-oriented meltdowns of Fukushima, but one of the most initiated extinction-level events that's ever taken place at the hand of man. By the way, they're using neutron flux, talking about stuff that's going on in different reactors in India. They're talking about neutron flux used to be even a Star Wars term, and they used to deny it. But now what's interesting, it's even coming into, a Star Trek term before it was a Star Wars term. The common vernacular is, how should I say this, almost being thrust into a science fiction dictionary. So what a lot of people don't understand is this, that the least that you expose yourself or as you are exposed less to the radioactive source, fallout, whatever, you're going to have a greater opportunity for your body's natural defense to fight off all the attendant diseases that are going to follow. As we talk about radiation, as we're talking about the times we now live in, I want people to know that your number one criteria when it comes to food is going to be health. It's going to be healthy food. You see, it's not enough to have rice and beans because vitamin C is really critical. You're going to need vitamin D as in delta. You're going to need vitamin E as in echo. No matter what the AMA or the FDA or the, all the other CDC tells you, listen, mariners knew that they needed to have citrus or they would end up with scurvy and rickets. So one of the companies that's been with me for a long time, and I just want to give them a pitch, because they make a wonderful, wonderful drink called Cocoa Mojo. Cocoa Mojo is basically cocoa with coconut milk in it, and the coconut milk and the cocoa combined basically gives you the benefit of caprylic and lauric acid. The products they make are second to none. Their NutriCafe is the coffee that a lot of people love, and here's why they love it, is because it basically tastes good, but also they put natural supplements in it to help you. Everything they do at Inner Health Botanicals is designed to keep you in the best of health. Inner Food is an amazing thing. There's no gimmicks behind the product. It's a green powder that's so nutrient dense and nutrient rich, and it's called Interfood. They've vacuum sealed everything now for longer life. So I want you to know that I have been with this company, and forgive me, we've been together for at least 20 years, I think. They make some of the best herbal tinctures in the world. And what's interesting about herbal tinctures is, remember this, you guys, modern pharmaceuticals send research teams spending billions of dollars around the world looking for natural, some people call them nutraceuticals, and then when they find them and they find out the wonderful, if you will, life-enhancing properties of that plant or of that extract from seaweed or whatever it is, lichens growing at a certain level, then they identify it, and then they try and duplicate it, and then they try and patent it so that they can basically make the money off of it. Well, the nice thing about herbal tinctures is that you can basically cover a lot of territory and cover a lot of ground without a prescription or the necessary cost. So I want to share this with you. Go to Interfood.com, or you can just click on the banner on my website. Because as someone who even had food companies that produce the food companies, the number one concern is, do they have nutritional integrity? Well, I can tell you this, the folks at Interfood Botanicals, Interhealth Botanicals, Interfood, that's one of their food trademarks, is they've spent a lot of decades perfecting and attenuating their products. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you this, that again, we have so many clients and people that email me and write me that are giving me fabulous stories. I even told a story about a guy that got run over by literally, you're going to love this, a drunken lawyer just about killed him. But the whole thing that brought him back on death's door was one of his friends brought some Interfood to him, mixed it up, made him an excellent smoothie. But the point is that brought him back because the guy was starving in the hospital. I mean, not only was, broken bones and everything, and oh, by the way, due to the justice system, because she was a very wealthy attorney, nothing ever happened to her. The case was dismissed. She was so far over the legal limit, and yet, nothing happened. This guy was a vet, by the way. Now we've got geoengineeringwatch.org, and we've got chemtrails. We've got so many good, there are good, Chemtrail Planet. There's some really good websites out there. I don't know if Carnicom changed his site, carnicom.com. Just so many good things. But Dane Wigington, thanks for the job you're doing. Obviously, geoengineeringwatch.com. And for those of you that still don't believe in chemtrails, let me give you my worst case scenario. An equilibrium has been established in the atmosphere of, let's just say this, and these are my terms, not their, hodgepodge components, substances, chemicals, and elements that when mixed with another binary agent produce the ultimate, if you will, killer rain, the Black Death. If you think that's so far out, you've got to see that even some of the chemtrail pilots now are coming clean. They're coming out in the open and telling you, look, I can't live with my conscience. For those of you that want to know the real purpose of chemtrails beyond reflecting sun back in the upper atmosphere, etc., please get my book, Xenogenesis, Xenogenesis. Xenogenesis means adding another, if you will, strand of DNA to a double helix, making it a triple helix, and that usually means exogenous to the underlying DNA strand. In other words, it could be anything from an animal. It could be, most likely, what I believe it is obviously the DNA of fallen angels when they mated with earth women. And if you think that's so wacky, why is so much money being spent to combine human and animal DNA? You think they care enough about people that they'll let rot and starve all over the world to make sure that they, don't go deaf? Listen, every altruistic announcement of this type of research and the results has a more sinister purpose in mind. The revelation that's in my book, and I tell people this, the most profound thing I've known in the last 10 years, and thank you, Will, for this was when a CIA station chief or maybe associate deputy, but high enough up to have every clearance necessary, to say the purpose was to basically change the atmosphere, to change the literal response of light, and obviously we're photons, and God said, let there be light, and guess what? We're all here. The thing is that we are dealing now with some sinister wickedness. And over the years, as I've been on talk radio, generals, scientists, you name it, they come through my store doors and they say, just want you to know this. Or people literally come by sometimes and they'll say, hey, I got a letter from this guy, but he said, please give to Steve Quayle. And sometimes it'll be, obviously I can't tell you my name, but here, look at this, look at that. What I've come to the conclusion, and this is after a lot of years, a lot of wrinkles, bloodshot eyes, long nights, no nights, the percentage of people who really care, who will really stand, who will really care about helping, who will really go out and do it and action, not just sit and mouth it in their words. I'm saying this. I used to think it was 3%. Don't ask me how I arrived at that. 3%. Now I believe it's down to 1%. 1% of the United States population right now makes a pretty small number, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, if we're dealing with, let's just call it quick and dirty, 320 million people, 10% is 3.2 million that get it. 3.2 million people. So I hope I'm wrong. I pray it'd be higher, like 10%. But that means the chances of people that you rub elbows with, that you work with, that you play with, meaning, if you go play golf, you go, race cars together, you go shooting, whatever. If you go shooting, I'd say that they probably are in the 1%. But the point being is that because of those who know have been so selectively isolated, there really aren't that many. And I believe God's going to turn the apple cart upside down. You know why? Because the apples on the surface of the cart look great, but the ones underneath are all rotten to the core. Oh, gee, that brings up another story about core reality, which we won't go to right now. You'll be allowed to play whatever games the games people play. You'll be allowed to be entertained with the entertainment that hell devised yesterday, scripted a year ago, and then obviously put on the screen. You will be seduced by whatever looks the most desirous to the eyes, sounds the best to the ears, promises you promises that only the devil can make good on until you have to make good on the devil's payback time. The point to rise up, stand up, speak up, act up, that time is diminishing, but you still have time. You still have time. You still have time to dare to prepare. If you don't know at this point in your life why you need to prepare, then my guess is these Q-casts for you, for those of you who've taken that attitude, don't watch them. It's a waste of your precious time because your time is better well spent staying up all night and playing games or watching whatever movies you're watching or, sitting on the stupid Faces of Death book. That's what I call it.